Hello. Good afternoon, evening, morning, or whenever you're watching, and welcome to Visions TV. I am Yolanda Naylor Shea Kelly, your No More Drama Transform Trauma Coach with Visions of Hope Transformational Coaching. And a special hello to my butterflies and flutterbys. You know who you are. Thank you so much for joining my channel and for stopping by. At this point, I'm going to ask you to like, subscribe, and share. And today I am doing another episode about Meet Georgia. Now, for those of you who don't know who Georgia is my hair. Now, I'm not going to go and recap my previous video, but I have a video on Facebook and I believe on YouTube talking about Georgia. I'll just do it anyway. I decided to come out of my wigs and start wearing my hair out. And of course, for those who do or don't know, I have had a journey with alopecia. I do not take possession of alopecia. I don't believe that we have to take possession of diagnoses. We may be diagnosed with certain things. However, I think our language around diagnoses that we may get is very important. And so for me, I don't say I have this or I have that. I'll say I've been diagnosed with A, B, C, D, whatever. So I was diagnosed with alopecia back in 2017. I really want to just take the opportunity to say thank you to those who have shared their experiences, who have contacted me to acknowledge my vulnerability, my transparency. I can't say it wasn't easy, and I can't say it was easy. I made a decision once Holy Spirit led me to share, and I wanted to be obedient. And so the reward in it has been getting the feedback from you all who have had similar challenges. And so I wanted to come on and do another installment where I actually talk about the journey. And then the next video, I think I'm going to get into doing products that I use. So where do I begin? In about 2013, I started to notice that, well, let me go back. I used to have locks. I had locks twice. I loved my locks. I probably put up a picture of my locks. Everybody who knows me knows that my hair, I love wearing my hair red. That was not something that kind of like just started out of nowhere. It really started out being, that's my favorite color, one of them, red. I used to be a part of the Harlem Gospel Choir, and when we traveled overseas, a lot of times people would identify us by our appearance. So it became a signature look for me. So I want to take this opportunity to shout out those who cared for my hair while I was going through this transition, while I was going through the journey of alopecia. The first person I want to shout out is my girlfriend. I call her my god sister, because I do believe that God sent her into my life. Her name is Shanye Walker Moore. I said Walker Moore. Sorry, Shanye Walker Moore. And she cared for my natural hair. She did my locks. In fact, we actually met through the Harlem Gospel Choir. We sang together, and I was blessed to be able to have a hairstylist on the road with me who would do my twists and do my locks and things of that nature. In fact, she would actually tighten my locks and stuff while we were on the road. We traveled together for years, and so that was just a blessing in of itself. And then I decided that I was going to cut my locks. She continued with me with the process, and I was hard-headed. So, you know, one of the things that you heard me say was in one of my previous videos is that I was diagnosed with alopecia. I started to notice in 2013 that my hair was thinning in certain areas. So just to kind of backtrack a little bit, I actually take full accountability for the fact that I didn't care for my hair in the way that I should have. I had locks, I loved them, and then when I decided to cut them, so let me pause there and talk about me cutting my hair. Many of you know that I'm an actor, singer, have been in theater for a very, 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 very long time. And so back in, gosh, when did I cut my locks out? I would say I had locks twice. So the first time I started my locks was in 2009. I had locks then. I grew them, and I ended up cutting them because my agent at the time felt that they weren't marketable in this industry, the theater industry. So I bought into the, whatever. I wanted to be marketable, cut my hair. And it was cut kind of very short like this, actually. And when I cut it, I had a texturizer, the whole nine. Over processing my hair. Over processing. And I might put a picture. I didn't find those pictures. A picture of what my hair looked like then. But very over processed, I come from the days when we used to put those that hair up and our hair up in ponytails, and be sticking it with the weave wrapping around the ponytail and put it in bobby pins and all of these things like that. Just poor hair care practices, but just for the sake of looking cute, damaging our hair and all of the things. And so I was no different. So after I came out of my first set of locks, I went through the whole texturizer process, grew that out, ended up getting locks back, and just, I don't know how long I had my locks. I would have to really track back. But by the time I met Shanye, that would be about 2011. So that might have been my second set of locks. That was my second set of locks. And they were, because my first set of locks, I think, and please forgive me, because I had to think back, my actual first set of locks, if I can recall correctly, I have to think about where I was when I had locks, was like 2001. I remember pictures of me. This is before phones had cameras and stuff. So I'm literally seeing myself in a picture on a trip I had locks. So yeah, the first set of locks had to be at least 2000, and then I cut them, let's say 2005. I'm not sure. I just remember having locks again in 2009. So from 2009 to let's say 2011, by that point my locks were, a nice length, and I had colored them, and it, they were doing good until I decided I wanted to transition out of them again. By that point, I had been twisting them myself, and Shanye would say to me, "You gotta let them wolf. You can't twist them so much because the hair is gonna become very thin." So I remember cutting my hair. I think she cut it, in fact, and somewhere's about 2013, I remember, by that point I was wearing quick weaves, and we did everything we could to try to protect my actual hair. But I had some scalp damage, some traction alopecia already. I'd had, not knowing, alopecia areata. When I say traction alopecia, I mean the pulling from braids, and pulling from and scratching from bobby pins, and different things like that. So there was some scarring, like up in this area here, just scarring I had from bobby pins. So I came to the conclusion, I was like, you know what? My hair is going through challenges. I'm fine. As long as I can buy hair, I'm good. And I had convinced myself that I was okay with having to, if I had to wear weaves, I was going to wear weaves. Now, let me say this. You get what you pay for, right? So I would go and I was living in 2013 I got married, and I moved up to Pennsylvania, I think in 2010. So I didn't have access to Shanye being able to go get my hair done and get it treated and stuff like that as I did when I lived in Jersey at that time. So I was always kind of the person to DIY. If I could do it myself, I would do it. I wasn't putting weaves in my hair, but I would, color my own hair. I would, try to care for it as best as possible in terms of like, deep conditioning it and things of that nature. And I didn't think that I was doing a disservice to myself, but I loved wearing my hair red. And one of the things that she always said to me is, Nay, do not color your hair and then put it in weave. I would color my hair and not feel comfortable wearing my hair short, because this is not my first time having my hair cut short like this. I cut my hair down like this, I think in 2014. Had a little Caesar. I'll probably show that picture too. But I didn't have the guts to rock it. I just didn't. Again, going back to what I said in the previous video, women, we wear this sometimes, some women, and not all, because I won't make this a general statement, but a lot of us have these beliefs or limiting beliefs or things that we've heard said from childhood on up, things we've heard, woman's hair is her glory and different things like that, or things like, oh, she looked like a dude, you know what I mean? It's nonetheless, it's all of that stuff, that the talk that you hear, the talk that you've heard around you about, hair, and it's hair, but it's my hair. And for you, it's your hair. And we all have our own journey. So anywho, 2013, I cut my hair low. I don't think I colored it. I was just getting it to grow out and just treating it and the thing, all of that. At some point I did color it. I have a picture somewhere of me with red hair. And I remember going to the weave shop. I used to live in Union, and in Union, not far from Union in Hillside, they had the $50 weave shop. Now, y'all, what was I doing going to the $50 weave shop? You get what you pay for, right? I wasn't paying for quality care. I was paying for somebody to do my hair and style it in the way that I wanted, and then that's it. Every now and again, I would meet someone there that would do the weave, and she'd be like, you should do this, and this is what you should do, and going and getting your hair, because let me stop and slow down for those who don't know what the process is when you're getting a weave. You're getting your hair braided, and usually they braid your hair from starting in the back, and they do a spiral braid all the way up to the top, and it stops here, and then they start doing the sew-in. Now that's if you get a sew-in. And I would get that sew-in, and I would be traveling, and I'd have that sew-in until it was near falling off the braid, the weft. Oh Lord, the things that we would do. Didn't care for it properly. And so I don't know how often I did that, but I was really causing some great damage to my hair, thinking, oh, it doesn't matter, I'll just be getting weaves all the time, until that was not something I wanted to do. So 2013, you keep hearing me say that because that was the year I got married. So I remember actually going from quick weaves to weaves, to sew-ins. I remember my husband at the time telling me, he was like, babe, if you cut your hair bald, you're beautiful to me. And I heard it. I heard that, but I couldn't hear it, if that makes sense. Like, I heard him say that, but I just couldn't, it just wasn't something that I could do. Now I'm laughing because I have people say to me, oh my God, don't you ever put a wig back on. I have dudes coming up to me being like, yo, your hair is so fly, da, 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 da. I'm appreciative. I don't say that to gloat, but I mean, I'm talking about dudes that are like, they hair be like, and they're like, yo, that hair, strangers, yo, that haircut is, where you get your haircut at, or whatever. And so I'm grateful. I'll admit, I'm glad that I finally did it. And like I said in my previous video, you know, Georgia she has her makeup, you know what I mean? I don't put her makeup on every day because I'm not really trying to do that. So she still needs a little help. And I'm grateful that she's out and able to get the air. Like I was out today and, you know, she got sunshine. Sometimes I wear a head wrap now. Sometimes I wear a baseball cap. I started to let it grow more than it is. Because as you see, you know, how I'm keeping it low. She started to grow. And there's still some areas that are still growing in a little slower than the rest of my hair. So, you know, she's coming together though. We went to the trichologist yesterday, and Lottie, who you all will meet at some point soon, but I went to her yesterday, and one of her clients that has seen this journey, my journey, they were like, oh my goodness, Naila Shay. She calls me Naila Shay too. She was like, oh my goodness, Naila Shay, every time you come in here, your hair is growing. Like, you have to understand that when I was diagnosed with alopecia, doctors told me that once the follicle is dead, then it's no longer a lot. Like your hair won't come back. So put a pin in that for a second. I'll get to that. Let me continue to go through the journey. So going to the weave shop. I wore my hair in weaves for a few years. 2016, I was wearing quick weave again by that point. Because again, I was trying to give my hair a break. So what Shanye would do for me is I would try to, you know, they have like this protective sealant that you can put on your actual hair if you're going to do a quick weave. Like we were very careful in terms of what we did with my hair when I was going to Shanye. She would be like, Nay, you gotta, you know, we can't do this. And, you know, we were trying to just make sure that my hair stayed as healthy as possible. And so we would do, if she was gonna do a quick weave, which was convenient for me, we would put the protective sealant on and she would do it and we would go from there. But again, when you think about it, my hair's still not breathing. So it's still not as healthy as if I was really just letting it out on its own. So to breathe and grow and, you know, so on and so forth. By 2017, I am back in Jersey. My husband has passed away. He passed away in 2016. I moved back to New Jersey. So, you know, and let me say this. Why am I bringing that up? I'm bringing it up because the services available in the Poconos in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, which is where I lived, compared to down here in Jersey, nothing to be compared. Just not, you cannot compare. So I was traveling a lot traveling a lot from 2011 through 2015, right? On the road constantly. So I need something that's functional, something that I can handle myself, you know, by the point of, I don't even know what year that Shanye stopped touring. I know that she got married and, you know, she had, you know, her family was growing and so on and so forth. So she wasn't there. She wasn't able to really, you know, do my hair. So of course I'm having to manage my own hair. So by 2016, my husband Kenny has passed away. I was very involved in theater by that point. In fact, in 2016 was when I played Effie in Dreamgirls. And that's how I remember, you know, these points in life, like what was going on with my hair and, you know, different things of that nature. So I remember us doing that show, and I remember going I was doing a lot of auditioning. And I remember landing an agent, and the agent saying to me, so can you color your hair? Can you color your hair? I was like, because of course, that's my signature. Red is my signature. That's like my thing. So we're not coloring hair. Like, we're not doing that. But I had, come to a place in my career where I didn't want anything to stand in the way of me advancing. And so, things of that nature, as you heard me say before, I cut my locks because an agent, wanted me to cut them, or, things of that nature. Like, things are different now. So different. Like, that can change your hair color, but it becomes a situation of like, either can you do this, or we'll get someone else, or now, you have AI and all of that. So, they can change hair color. But I literally just gotten headshots done. Literally just gotten headshots done with red hair, with the red hair. This is pre-AI. I had done this class called The Source with Paul Michael. Shout out to Paul Michael. Phenomenal person, director. He was my consultant. He was my consultant from like 2012 till I kind of put a pause on acting back in 2024, and we stayed in touch. Paul was very pivotal in how I showed up in the audition space, what I put on my resume, different things of that nature. I won't even go into that. That's a story for another day. But Paul, we had gone through this class called The Source, and The Source was a business of acting class, and it's not about the actual acting part. It's about like how you're showing up in the space. So there's a saying that I say, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. I learned that from that class. And that class was really about getting out of your own way. That's a whole nother session. I'm not going to go down that whole rabbit hole. I'm not going to go down that road right there. I'm not going to go down that road, because that is a whole nother message and a whole nother session for a whole nother day, right? But one of the ways that I wanted to make sure that I didn't stand in my way was like my hair. And I remember having a conversation with Paul, like a real conversation, like, is me having red hair standing in the way of me being seen? This business of acting, and yes, I'm still an actor. Of course, right now I'm not, pursuing acting at this point. I've put a pause on that so that I can serve the world in a different capacity. But I really wanted to know, is this standing in the way of me actually, being seen? When people see my picture, what do they think? And Paul was very honest with me. I'm sharing these kind of things because I don't know who I'm talking to. I don't know what things stand in the way of, what we do, how we do what we do, and things of that nature. So Paul was like, well, Nayla Shay, and now mind you, Paul is a short white man, right? I don't think he's Italian. I know that for sure. Can cook like, oh my God. But short little white man, and he was like, Nayla Shay, I have to be honest with you that, when people see your headshot and they see you walk into the room, they don't know who you are or how you are before you open your mouth, if that makes sense. So unfortunately, a black girl with red hair can be perceived as hood, ghetto, unprofessional, all of the things. And let me just be honest, things that her white counterparts would not be considered wearing red hair, if that makes sense. But after getting to know me, even, agents and casting directors, they would say, when you open your mouth, what we thought of you before you began to speak changed once you opened your mouth. They began to speak about how, you know, how I speak and how I articulate. And so I'll be honest with you, I got stubborn when I realized, oh, y'all trying to put me in a box. Like, no, I'm a black girl with red hair. I'm very articulate. I know what you perceive of me before I walk in the room or as I'm walking in the room is not who I am, and I get to prove that to you. So I would get on my own little personal soapbox within myself. Like, I'm going to prove to them that, you know, I spent a couple of years doing that. So then fast forward again to, or go back to 2017, I land this agent and I got these new headshots. Now this is after the source because I've taken headshots, you know, I got this, you know, one of the things that we got from the source was a photo suite where we were actually able to take photos, and, you know, we had three different headshots that we, you know, got as a part of the class. New headshots, just spent this money. And this agent is like, can you color your hair? Now, mind you, I get the agent through the source because I was also a part of the program. We met with casting directors and agents. And so I was blessed to have landed an agent after going through the class. And so I was like, yes, I will. Now, this was my plan. I spoke with the photographer who did my pictures. Shout out to Martin at oh my gosh, at Confetti Moon. I have used him again for my most recent headshots. He's amazing. If you ever have to get headshots done, check out Martin with Confetti Moon in New York. He's amazing. So he's a vibe. He just really, it's an experience having headshots done with him. So anyhow, I contacted him and I asked him, was he able to change the color on my headshots? And he was able to do it, thankfully, to change it from red to a neutral, like brown, dark brown. So anyhow, I got hungry. So I had to give me a snack. This is gluten-free peppercorn wafers I got from the local market, and some fresh goat cheese with honey, apricot, and cranberry nut. I used to get this for years. Love it. On a good cracker. They used to have these like things called like Magic Crisps. It's good. It's really good. Don't knock it till you try it. So anyway, 2017, the agent asked me to color my hair. So by this point, I already know my other god sister, and yes, I have god sisters, because if they're godsends and I godsend them into my life, that's what I call them. So nonetheless, Tyra Renee, she and I knew each other also from theater. We did a play together, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places. God, I think 1998. So I knew her, and I knew she was doing wigs. So I called her, make an appointment to go to see what she could do in terms of making me a wig that I could put on top of my weave, because I was not letting go of that red hair. Seriously, like I just was not going to do it. So I go to Tyra, and as I'm sitting there, I start, taking the weave and wrapping it, brushing it and putting bobby pins in it to make it like how when you get a doobie and they wrap your hair around. That's how I was doing it, the weave. And she said, Nelly said, what are you doing? I said, I'm wrapping my hair so that you can, put the wig cap on and measure my hair to do the wig, to measure my head for the customized wig. And I knew the wig was gonna look natural, no question. Cause her wigs, listen. Anytime you saw me wearing a wig, and with the exception of like the bob wigs that I would wear, but like the long wigs, those were her wigs. Like she don't play when it comes to wigs. And I think wigs came such a long way. Like, you could wear a wig and it really looked like your hair, and I loved that. I was like, I'm here for that. So, well, I was here for that, and I knew that she would be able to achieve that without me actually taking the weave out. And she looks at me and she says, Nelly Shay, what are you doing? And I said, I'm wrapping my hair so that you can, put the wig cap on and measure my head for the wig. She said, I'm not doing that. I love friends who are going to be honest with you. They're not going to let you be up in these streets acting silly and crazy and doing things that just don't make sense. So Tyra was no different. And she said, we're not doing that. I said, what do you mean? She said, we're going to take that weave off. We're going to take the hair off of that weft, off that wig, or that weave that you have. We're going to take that weave off, and we'll make a wig with that hair, and make a wig with the dark brown hair, the neutral colored hair, so that you can change them out interchangeably. That in of itself was a game changer for me. Because then I had to really, really sit with what's going on with my actual hair. You guys, by this point, I don't know if I have a picture. And yeah, at this point, I have no shame in sharing it. But by this point, my hair was so thin and so damaged. Like, you see, let me get close. You see this fullness all around here? Like, you see me pulling, but like like, I don't know how to explain it. When she would braid my hair and she would add like a little extension here, like I had these little lines. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at myself. Little lines, like my hair was not full like it is now, not by any stretch of the imagination. Like, it was not full. And I was like, oh my God, look at what I've done to my hair. This is the damage of having this ding dang weaves in my hair. Like, I got to a point where I didn't care if my hair was healthy or if it wasn't healthy. And as long as I could buy a weave to put in it, and then when I had to be put in a position where I couldn't wear the weave anymore, it was like, look at you, you need to fix your hair. Like, what are you doing? Tyra says, no, we're going to take the, wig, the weave off the wig, the weave off, the hair off the weave, and we're going to make a wig. And that's what she did. And I would change them out. And I remember going to, I'll show you a picture of going to do Dreamgirls. And that was the first play that I actually did where I wasn't like putting a wig on top of a weave. It was the first play where I actually had to be in a space with a wig cap, and I was embarrassed about my hair underneath the wig cap, where I wouldn't like let anybody see my hair, because it wasn't not healthy, not at all. I remember doing Dreamgirls and being able to take the, the wig cap off. That's how I learned about wig grip and different things like that. So in this video, I'm going to like talk products as well. Because there are certain things that I would do that, Tyra and Shanye like would be adamant about, in terms of my hair care while I was wearing wigs. For those of you who are wearing wigs and you're having issues with your edges, Because a lot of people, listen, I'm not trying to be funny, and I'm going to say this because that's the way they say it. A lot of people's edges are snatched. Like, they're gone. They're gone. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, my edges, yesterday, Lottie was like, oh my God. No, the last time, Lottie was like, oh my God. Like, your edge, like, y'all, I told you, this right here, all of this, and all of this was going out. This is my hair. This is my actual hair. Okay, and this, I think I have a spot that's right here that's a little low, but all of this, like, you know, and yes, I still have, like, you know, I still maybe pencil it in a little bit just to make it even, but my edges have come back. So when they, you know, listen, don't give up on your, I hate to say it like that, don't give up on your edges. So what I want to do, so okay, let's do this now. One of the things that Tyra always taught me to do was to make sure I laid my edges down under my wig cap. So there are people who wear stocking caps. I never, like, when I started wearing wigs on a regular basis, I did not wear wig caps like the stocking caps. I got something called wig grip. They sell it on Amazon. I swore by it. Like, I still swear by it. Like, if I ever wear a wig, and I have since I had my haircut, wear a wig grip. And it's fabric. Like, when I would do shows, that was a part of my rider. I would ask them to include in my contract, or ask the wardrobe people to buy me a wig grip because my hair was in transition and I was getting it back healthy. Like, once I realized what was going on with my hair, I was adamant about getting it back healthy. So one of the things that Tyra taught me was getting edge control and laying your edges down. And then I would put my wig grip on so it didn't slip. Now, if for those of you who do still wear wigs, or do wear wigs, whether you do it because you have to or because you just want to, I encourage you to get the wig grip. That wig is not going to move. That wig grip is going to, the way that the wig lays on the wig grip keeps the wig from moving. So I never really had any problems or issues really with my wig slipping, all of those things. So I encourage you to do that. For me, the wig grip is fabric, and it has like you put it on and it's like a cap, and then you put it on, and you know, that has like a Velcro. I wish I had it out here so I could show you. Let me see if I can grab one. Okay, so I went and got it. So, you know, and I'm sharing this because some people may not be in a space where they're able to not wear wigs. And we hope that you actually get to that place if you want to. Somebody asked me the other day, they were like, you ever think about going bald? I was like, y'all, I just got here. Please. Like, are you kidding me? You know, somebody that, you know, she was like, you have the face for it. I was like, I appreciate that, but no. So anyhow, wig grip. So this is a wig grip. So it's a wig cap. This is the lace part, so that when you're actually, I don't want to put it on, but when you actually, so say like it's on your head, this is the part when you actually have a wig and you have your part, you know, created or whatever. This is the lace part, so that your lace on your wig sits on this. These are kind of old, and they have, you know, kind of holes in it from like bobby pins being stuck. And it actually comes with, let me get closer. It actually comes with a piece of lace that lays here. So if you wear a lace front, you're not gonna see this part. You're actually going to see the lace. It's gonna lay on the lace. You're not gonna see it. But you know, after a while, I would have mine cut off because I never wore the lace front. So, but it's amazing. So this is the side of it, and it comes with a label so that you know that it's on the right side. And this is the Velcro, so when you close it, it fits your head. So that's the back of it, and that's the front of it. To the point that I was making, when you are wearing a wig, you would do the edge control here and then put this on, and then this is not going to slip. And the reason I bring that up is because wig slippage, or the slippage of the friction between the wig cap and the wig and all of that can definitely cause friction on your edges. And so it's like a catch-22. We're wearing these styles, these protective styles that are cute and this, that, and the other, but then it's damaging our hair still. And so for me, imagine having this on, right, while I'm trying to get my hair to actually grow. Because this is so thick, my scalp was not able to breathe. So imagine I had this on, and on top of that had the wig. Georgia couldn't breathe. She couldn't breathe. So now Georgia has, I don't even be wanting to put that on. I don't know. Again, I probably will wear wigs at some point when I want to, but I'm grateful, especially with this hot weather, that I don't, have to deal with that, because it was just a lot. So imagine having the wig cap on, and your hair, in order for it to grow, your follicles need to breathe, and you have heat trapped in, and a wig on top of the wig cap. Not a good combination for the follicles that are trying to breathe. So my follicles are very happy right now these days, and I'm happy about it too. So going back, so Tyra, does the wig for both. I'm doing Dream Girls, but I'm facing the realization at this point that my hair is in a state that if I could change what it was like, the state that my hair was in, then I would do it. So that was when I went to the dermatologist. I was adamant about having a black dermatologist at the time. And interestingly enough, this was the dermatologist, and I'm not going to mention any names, but this was the dermatologist who told me that if the follicle is dead, that the hair will not come back. I didn't receive that. And that's why I say to people, please don't accept diagnoses that are, or things that are spoken over your health. Diagnoses to me are information. I'm not saying that the diagnosis might not be factual in that moment, but what can we do to change it? To me, it's not a final sentence or a final declaration over me. If I can do something, whether holistically or even if I have to do something medically to help, then let me do that. So I go to this dermatologist. What they did was they actually had to take a biopsy of my scalp, send it out so that they could find out what type of alopecia I had. So the biopsy comes back. And I don't remember, I would say it's worth going to find out. So if I could pause and say anything, before you say that you have alopecia or diagnose yourself, I would recommend going to an actual dermatologist to find out if you have alopecia, what type it is, and then go from there, so you know how to properly care for it. So when I was diagnosed with alopecia, I was diagnosed with CCCA, or the type of alopecia that is called, and I have to look at it because I can never say it right. It's called central, like center, centrifugal cicatricial alopecia. So what it actually means is central is typically begins at the center of the crown of the scalp. Centrifugal, it spreads outward. So there are pictures that I'll show you where you can see the top of the hair is like thinning out, and it started to spread out, right? In a circular pattern from the center. And then cicatricial means scarring. This is the inflammation that can permanently damage hair follicles if not treated early. And then, of course, alopecia being hair loss. So what happens is it starts at the crown, right? and then it moves its way out. So the body's just so amazing, you know, how all of this happens. And it's scarring, right? And then it's moving and it's inflammation. So a lot of times we think when hair loss is occurring that something, we're using products that aren't right, or, you know, so many different things, but it can come from so many different things. It can be your diet. It can be medications that you're taking. It can be hormonal. It can be hereditary. And this is all types of alopecia. It can be stress related. It can be damage that you've done, you know, to the hair. It can be inflammation. And so I was just talking to someone earlier about like my diet and how important it is for me to make sure that that I'm not eating foods that cause a lot of inflammation. There is a form of alopecia that is autoimmune, and I also have been diagnosed with that one as well. So before I get into, you know, the other form of alopecia that I was diagnosed with, I want to share that CCCA, or central centrifugal cicatricial alopecia, is mostly common in Black women. Crazy. So you're going to see a lot of content where now there are products that are really, really geared toward Black women that are helping us to heal these issues that we have. And I encourage you to try them. Try them. CCCA often starts with tenderness, it's itchy scalp, it's burning, sometimes it's soreness at the crown. And although some people, it's what I'm reading says, although some people have no symptoms at first, it can progress slowly or over months or over years. And they say it requires early treatment. And listen to this, because I pulled this up, right? The definition requires early treatment because once follicles are replaced by scar tissue, their hair loss is usually permanent. That's what the doctors will tell you, right? But I don't believe that we have to take that for law. I just don't. When I was told that, you know, my hair wouldn't grow back, I went and I talked to Shanye, I talked to Tyra, and I happened to run into my trichologist, who was not my trichologist. I wasn't her client. My daughter was her client back in, I think, 2009, 8, 9, 6. I'm not sure. I may have mentioned it in the previous video how all of the basketball girls, they wanted to care for their hair and be able to take care of their hair, you know, while, you know, sweating and keeping their hair straight and not looking crazy. And Lottie, that's my trichologist, Lottie Domingue is her name, taught these girls how to properly care for their hair using products that she had her own line of products, and these girls cared for their hair. So I knew her from that experience. I happened to run into her, and I'm not going to go into the story now because that in of itself, me running into her, was amazing, because by this point, Lottie had stopped seeing clients because she had a really, and I'll say this part, she had been in a very, very bad accident and had to have surgery on her back. I think the accident, her back was broken, if I'm not mistaken, but nonetheless, she had to stop seeing clients. So I run into her, I think, in 2017, and I tell her, this is what I've been diagnosed with, this is what they've said, and is it true? And she was like, no. She's like, she just said, if you're alive, your follicle is still alive. It may take some time for it to come back, but, you know, it's not just that black and white. I needed people who were going to believe and have faith with me that my hair would come back. You know, I had, you know, repented, and y'all can call it ridiculous, but I wanted to take ownership and take accountability for what I had done to my hair. And so I just started doing a lot of research, and there's this lady, I forget her name, I think her name is like Pam or something like that. She had regrown her hair from alopecia. And well, one of the things that I heard her say was, just take accountability for, if you've done something to your hair. I was like, yes, I'm going to take accountability, for anything that I did to my hair to cause my hair to be in this state. And if it be God's will for my hair to grow back, it will grow back. And so that was that. And so the second alopecia that I had been diagnosed with was an autoimmune form of alopecia. And so this is why I try to be mindful of what I'm eating and things of that nature. But it's alopecia areata. And so, again, alopecia meaning hair loss. Areata means it occurs in patches in localized areas. So I have like a spot right here that I noticed if I had severe stress and things going on, that this area right here, I have a couple of areas back here too, that the hair loss would occur. What I didn't know and what I came to learn was these patches, at least in my experience, well, let me say it this way. Some forms of alopecia are directly connected to your emotional state. Now, I don't want to start talking about the body keeps the score, but you all have heard me at one point or another talk about trauma and the body and stress and how, trauma shows up in the body and things of that nature. What I did not realize and what I did not know was I had experienced a lot of emotional trauma over several years. I would say going back to 2012, 11, different things that I had been going through. And so that's when the alopecia started to show up. Again, I was just on some like, okay, my hair's thinning, whatever the case may be, not realizing and putting, connecting the dots with what was going on. I had no idea. I just thought I was losing my hair. Fast forward to now, knowing what I know. One of the biggest things that we have to be mindful of for those who experience alopecia is to eliminate stress from your life. You got to eliminate stress. What you put in your mouth, what you allow to enter your thoughts, all of that. So for me, I had no idea that, again, the loss of my husband, 2016, stress, trauma, for those who are aware of how that happened, I was diagnosed with PTSD from that experience alone. And so, again, the body keeps the score. You don't realize what's happening. You just think you're going through life. And, for me, I'm a very, positive person, very joyful, don't, let too much disturb my peace, or don't want anything to disturb my peace if I can help it. And so while I'm moving through life and coaching people and teaching and ministering and all the things and pretty jovial, my body was still having a response to life and what was happening, if that makes sense. So now I'm very aware of it, and it's I'm trying to do everything I can not to let anything cause me stress. I don't really have the capacity to do that. I don't have the bandwidth to do it because it can affect me. It can affect my body. So there are things that I don't do, things I don't engage in, I'm very intentional. So nonetheless, that's that. So again, 2017, I'm with the wigs, and that began the journey of me growing my hair back. So I start going back to Shanye, and she's going and we're treating, we're going to the shop. And so let me tell you what I did. I'm sharing my experience. However, I would encourage anyone who desires to try to get their hair to come back, be patient with yourself. Take the time to find out what's best for you, because everyone's, process is different potentially. So I'm going to share my experience, and I encourage you, try what I tried, and then you may try something else and find something else works for you. So I started going to the shop where Shanye was, and shout out to, again, her and Charles. They were business partners, and they had a shop called Textures and Kinks. I would go out there like once a month, and I'd go. Shanye would wash my hair. Protein treatments. She would give me protein treatments. Not every month, but she would do protein treatments, deep conditioning, steaming. I would get under, at first it was getting under the dryer with, just the conditioner in my hair with a plastic cap, and letting the heat of the dryer create steam under the plastic cap. And then Charlie got this infrared device. It looked like he was an astronaut, but you'd sit under it. I think I might have a picture of it too. You sit under it, and it has this infrared light. If you can afford to get, I don't have my cap. I had an infrared cap that I actually bought. It's time for me to get another one. But now I don't really use it as much because now Georgia's out in the sun. So she's getting the sunlight. The infrared light does for your scalp and your skin what the sun would do, getting vitamin D while you're out, and so on and so forth. So because I was wearing wigs at the time, and I had to, because I wasn't willing to go bald, or willing to even wear my hair out, and was trying to get my hair back, we would do it this way. So it would steam, and I would have the infrared light going, and you did that for about 15 minutes. Shanye also did tea rinses on my hair. I encourage that, tea rinses. I don't use it anymore, but I also used Hollywood Hair Bar hair growth serum. That worked very well for me. What else did I use? I tried to leave my hair alone. I tried to not do much to it. However, one of the things that I understood was I needed to, and even now, I, massage my hair every night, making sure that I'm treating it every day with what I'm supposed to. I initially started using minoxidil, and I had stopped using minoxidil. So, okay, let me go back a little bit. I go to the dermatologist, and they start giving me a regimen to follow. This is, again, 2017. The regimen was that I was going to do minoxidil. I was going to have Kenalog injections in my hair, which is my scalp, which is cortisone injections, and clobetasol. Okay, so those are, you heard me say earlier, if there is medical treatments that we can use to assist or aid in us getting healthy, I'm not against it. I just don't want to be on that permanently. That's just me. I'm not a big medicine person. I'm more of a holistic person. So I didn't really want to be doing, cortisone injections in my scalp, and because that's known to also thin the skin of the scalp. So I didn't really want to be doing that, but I tried it. I did the clobetasol, and clobetasol and the Kenalog injections were meant to decrease the inflammation underneath the scalp. So I started to look for holistic ways to minimize any inflammation that I had under the scalp or in the follicles or whatever. So at one point I literally stopped because I didn't want the Kenalog injections. I didn't want to do clobetasol because that was still cortisone, and I didn't want to do minoxidil because I was like, I don't want to be using minoxidil all my life. So I would do like oil, natural oils, and let me think of the oils that are good for hair growth. Saw palmetto oil was good. I was using something called Foti. It's a supplement that you take by mouth. an herb that you take by mouth. Pumpkin seed oil is good. Neem oil is good. I'll try to put a list on the screen. What else? So many different things I think I've used over the years. I will tell you what I'm using now that I'm sticking with. But again, over the years, that was what I used. Hollywood Hair Bar, growth serum oil. I used their shampoo and their conditioner. I used their tea. They have an actual tea. What else did I use? Fenugreek oil. Just so many different things. And as I remember them, I will share. So my hair started growing back. Shanye, would twist it or whatever till it got to a point where it got full enough, and I ended up doing locks again, doing micro locks. And they were cute. Those micro locks, they were cute until they weren't. So what happened with the micro locks? I would be going to Shanye and she would do my locks, and she was adamant about me not putting any heavy weight on my locks, on my hair. So what we had decided to do was we were going to create faux locks. Excuse me, I'm tired. We would create faux locks, and she created this bridge. So the perimeter of my hair is strong. It was strong. It wasn't like fragile or whatever. The follicles around the perimeter have not been affected. So it was easy to have locks growing here, and some locks growing up in here too. And then what we would do is we would feed my actual locks, we would feed my locks through the topper, is what it's called, a bridge, topper or whatever. And it was cute. But the weight of it started to cause the locks that were there to get weak. So we went from weaving or interweaving the locks that I had in my actual hair into the topper to then now sewing it around the perimeter. And it just got unhealthy, and we ended up going back to the things that we were trying to get away from, which was gluing the topper, and I got so many compliments, and it was like, yeah, oh my God, your hair is cute, da, 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 da. But nobody knew what was really going on under there, and I remember going to a retreat, and there had been some things that occurred in my life that God was bringing me out of that were dysfunctional. And I remember him telling me at that point, no more dysfunctionality in your life. Like you cannot have dysfunction. Like, I don't care what it is, like no dysfunction. Like I'm bringing you out of this place of dysfunction. No more functioning dysfunctionally. Like you've done enough of that in your life. No more, right? And so I remember going to this retreat and just being like, I gotta cut this hair. Like, it's not healthy. And that was the point that God was making. I've taken you through this healing journey, and you're healthy. No more dysfunction. No more putting yourself in situations where you're living or doing things that are not healthy. And I believed everything he instructed me. And I'm one that wants to be obedient to what God says. And so I was like, I just felt Holy Spirit just say to me, that hair, your hair is not, it's not healthy. No more dysfunctional living. I don't care if it looks good. No more, because I had gotten away from that. So anyway, literally at that retreat, I said to some of the ladies there, and I was like, I gotta cut my hair. And they were like, why? It looks so good. And da-da-da. It looks good, but it's the looking good and not being healthy that's the problem. It was what things appeared to be externally, and then what they were actually underneath it all, that I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it. Like, it was very representative of what I had experienced in life. And so I ended up going home and cutting my hair all off. And that was 2024, April of 2024. And then I go and I call Lottie, my trichologist, and I say to her, my hair is unhealthy again, and I want to get it back to healthy. Shanye didn't even know that I cut my hair. By the time that I came from the retreat, we were still rocking, and I just sent her a video of me cutting the hair off, topper in hand, the whole nine. And I was just like, I can't put my hair through, I can't put myself in a position where I'm using poor hair care practices on my hair. Like, I just can't. There was so much more to it than what I'm actually saying. And when I say that, I mean, it wasn't about the hair figuratively or just the hair. It was representative of my life. No more dysfunction. So anyway, cut the hair off, go to Lottie, and now we began the journey of getting my hair back to healthy. And so I'm gonna close this by sharing some of the products that I've used since I've been back to Lottie. And again, a lot of things are trial and error. I had gone back to using minoxidil because I felt like some of the stuff I'm going to end up having to use every day anyway. And so I'm not beat. As long as I ain't growing hair on my face from minoxidil and all of my hands and stuff, it's fine. So this is, and it's no particular brand really for me, and there's really no particular brand for me, but this is the minoxidil that I use with biotin. And I'm sorry for those of you who are like, we don't support Amazon. I know, I hear you, but I still buy off of Amazon certain things. So minoxidil is one of them. Oh, the edge control that I was using before that was Baskin Lather. And I don't have any endorsements from any of these people. Now, anybody wants me to be a brand ambassador, I wouldn't mind. That's fine. So that's what I use for the edges, but that's what I use for the edges, but I don't really do the wigs anymore, so I don't really use that. I started to use this is what I used to use from Hollywood Hair Bar. They have this Chebe oil. I would use their Chebe oil, and now a lot of people have Chebe oil. So I graduated into, y'all, and I hope she sees this video. If she ever sees it, y'all tell her, or somebody tell her, I love myself some Tabitha Brown, okay? And so I started using Donna's Recipe. That's how I came to learn about Donna. And Donna and Tabitha encouraged us to name our hair. And so I also used, before I cut my hair down, this is when I still had, a lot of hair, and before I cut it, I started to use Donna's Recipe. I never thought I would be one of these girls be like, but Donna's Recipe Strength hair oil, very good, very, very, very good. This has Chebe oil in it, or Chebe powder in it. I don't even think I have any more in here. Do I? No, I haven't used this because I'm trying to, I haven't re-upped on this because I'm trying to kind of see if there's certain things, if I can minimize the number of products that I'm using. But I was using that along with her extra creamy leave-in conditioner. So good. It's sweet potato pie, and it smells so good. It smells so good. I know people who don't really like the fragrance of it, but I don't mind it. When I started using these products, I started to notice that my hair was responding. One thing I like about these products, Donna's recipe, these particular products, and I'm sorry, let me show you this one. Sweet potato pie, extra creamy hair cream. There you go. When I started using these, Georgia's personality really started to come out. So, okay, so what else do I use? So I use that. When I went back to Lottie, there was this woman there who had been going to her about 2 years prior to me, who started off like me, that had spots in her hair that hadn't grown, had hair loss. My understanding is she also had locks too when she first came to Lottie. And so, who's on my shoulder? And so her hair was filling in, and I was like, well, what is she using? And so Lottie began to tell me, or the lady told me that she started using Nutrafol. Now, I will be a brand ambassador for some Nutrafol, because y'all, Nutrafol changed the game for me. And I'm not gassing you up. I'm telling you, Nutrafol vitamins changed the game for me. It's important to have a vitamin for your hair, for your skin, that works. And I've tried so many. I've tried hair and nail vitamins and different things like that, and you saw a little bit of results. But this, it's like, and it's expensive. So for a 30-day supply, because you're taking 4 a day, so for a 30-day supply of Nutrafol, it's gonna run you $88 at best, $79 if you do a subscription. But when I tell you it's worth it, it is worth every penny. I started to see hair growth, peach fuzz growing in my hair in places that it had not grown before. The same follicles that the doctors were like, oh, they're dead, their hair's not gonna come back, they were coming back. Lottie, every time I would go to her, she'd be like, every time you come back, there's more hair. I'm seeing black dots, and that would be the hair trying to push up through the follicle, coming up. And this has a great deal to do with it. Me being able to wear my hair out, honestly, this has a great deal to do with it. And again, all of the other steps of the regimen. What else do I take? I take collagen. Now, you see me holding up Black Girl Vitamins, because it is Black Girl Magic. Collagen. There's something about this blend and combination of collagen peptides from collagen type 1 and type 3. I had taken collagen before in different forms. I noticed the difference. A lot of people, not just with hair, but skin, everything, taking this. I also take their multivitamin, their 1 a day. I do believe that has also helped with my hair care regimen. I'll tell you the process of what I do with my hair once I finish showing you the products. I also use, and not every day, Wonder Growth Oil Labanta by Labanta. They have, I don't know if they make this anymore. Like this one right here, this was big on TikTok. It was big on Amazon, and all of a sudden you stop seeing this. And I think they changed this and started making this hair growth spray by Labanta. It basically does the same thing. Let me show you again. And I'm telling y'all, oops, sorry. And I'm telling you, I swear by these products. What else? Another game changer. So Wonder Growth Oil was a game changer for me, but also, you're not gonna know what this is, but this, look at this. This is raw, unrefined, batana oil, or as I've been told, this is batana oil. And it smells, now listen, let me tell you this. This right here, this jar, I've had it for at least 4 months, 5 months, maybe longer. Raw unrefined, let me see if I can get some out so you can see what it actually looks like. Batana oil, or batana oil as we call it. It looks like this, if you can see it. See, if it's not rubbing away in your skin, oh, it's on my finger. So here you see it, right? You rub it in, got too much. You rub it in, you don't see it. It's really, really good. And it smells like burnt coffee. Now, no, to me, you don't walk around smelling like burnt coffee. But that's how you really know it's real. The fact that it dissolves right away with heat, the heat of your body, because you don't see it on my finger anymore, right? It's just oil. And then the smell. And that's, I use this on my hair like tonight. Once I take off Georgia's makeup, I'm going to do my hair regimen. So this right here, this jar, I got from Lottie. Well, I shouldn't say it I got from her, but she ordered it for me from a vendor on Etsy. And I think this cost, I don't want to quote, I think this cost, I don't know, but it has lasted for a long time. This little bit is still going to last me probably at least another month, if that, maybe a little bit longer, because a little goes a long way. You don't need a lot. And when I started using Batana oil, these edges came together. So I'm telling y'all, try, for those who want to get your edges back, try Batana oil. Now, again, be careful, be mindful that you get real, raw, unrefined, virgin Batana oil. There is a version by Labanta, actually. Excuse me, I'll have a picture of it. It comes in an orange jar, and Labanta sells it. It's 100% unrefined Batana oil, and it works. Again, make sure that whatever the ingredients are of the Batana oil that you use, or the Batana paste that you use, that it just says Batana oil and that's it, nothing else. Because then otherwise it's not authentic. But yeah, so I use that faithfully. And what else? I'm drinking water. Diet. When you have hair loss, you want to make sure you're eating a lot of fatty fish, getting omega fatty acids, the collagen, the multivitamins. Ultimately, you have to know, or get to know, what's best for your body, right? And what's best for your hair. One of the things that I do is, so let me start with what's going to happen. Like when I get finished with this recording. Oh, I didn't show you guys this. So what I use to fill in Georgia until she gets fully grown, my makeup for Georgia is Topic. I use a dark brown with Finally Hair finishing spray, holding spray. There it is. And this gives the look that I have today. I do not do it every day. It's because it can be a lot just trying to fill in spots, and I'm not doing that every day. But I will, I do it sometimes. And sometimes I like more coverage than others. Sometimes I don't. And, sometimes I just don't feel like doing it at all. So I'll throw on a hat, or I'll throw on, I'll throw on a head wrap or whatever, and rock out like that. So what happens is tonight, this is what tonight's going to look like. Well, let's start with my morning. My morning, I don't have it in front of me, but I have a spritzer bottle of distilled water that I have. Well, I used to soak it in rosemary. That's another thing to use. I think that one of these products has rosemary oil. Yes. So Wonder Growth oil has botana oil in it. It has coconut oil, castor oil, pumpkin seed oil, and rosemary oil. Each of those oils serves a different purpose. Like I think coconut oil is good for hair moisture. Botana oil definitely awakens the follicles and gets your hair to come back and respond. Castor oil, definitely, we've all known for years that castor oil helps to get your hair to grow. Pumpkin seed oil is definitely good for the follicles and for hair growth. And rosemary oil is good for inflammation. That's supposed to be very good for inflammation. So let's see. Hair growth spray. This has botana and castor oil infused. So a little bit of difference. I don't know. I prefer this. Not that I'm not noticing the same thing. I just started using this one, but I used this one for quite a few months. And the rave on TikTok about this was very true. And so I'm not really sure what happened with this particular makeup. But what I loved about it is, you could just put it through your hair. I don't want nothing to come out, but they have these little holes in here. Oh, it's coming out. Put it through your hair and just, massage it in or whatever. So what I do in the morning, once I'm up and I'm in the bathroom, I take my spritzer bottle with distilled water and tea tree oil, and I spray it all over my scalp. It's important to make sure that your scalp is moisturized. If I don't learn anything from Shanye, she used to always tell me, Nay, get yourself a bottle with, distilled water and tea tree oil. And I swear by it to this day. Like, this is going years back, and I swear by it, so I still do it. And then I used to soak the distilled water with rosemary, until I started using the Wonder Growth oil with the rosemary in it. So that's a good thing I would encourage to do. So I spray it in the morning, do that. While my scalp is moist, I would put in my minoxidil. I use that. And then I would put in, when I was using the Donna's recipe, I only use that 3 times a week. So I would use the growth oil, the leave-in conditioner, as well as the creamy hair cream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The other days I wasn't using this yet. So I had like a combination of essential oils that I would use that consisted of like coconut oil, olive oil. It had neem oil. It was just a bunch of different oils, essential oils that I put that for hair growth that I had in a bottle that I would use, and I would use that regularly until I got the botana oil and this. And so then I started using this every day at night and this in the morning. And I'm telling you, my hair has begun growing in places that it just wasn't responding before. What else did I use? Lottie told me about a product. It's called Caffeine HRT. It's coffee infused hair and skin elixir. Now, I don't really know all the science behind it, but there is something about coffee that does something to the hair follicle. It's the caffeine that does something. So this is the product that I don't know if you can really see that. Let me do like that. See, what is it about holding this thing like that so y'all can see it? That's the product that she actually sells. And that's been good. She uses that on my hair when I go to her as well. And so what I do every night is I take a scalp massager. So tonight, this is what tonight's gonna look like. My regimen has changed a little bit. So now that I'm wearing my hair out, I actually lay my hair down and tie it up at night, so that when in the morning comes, I can actually, if I'm gonna use the fibers, I can put them on and I don't have to, wet my hair. So tonight I'm gonna go in with the spritzer. I do the spritzer at night now. I'm gonna go in with the spritzer. I'm gonna take off the excess makeup on Georgia, and then I'm going to use the Batana oil. I've already used the spray for today and the minoxidil for today. I'm going to use the Batana oil, and I'm going to use this. Before I lay it down, I'll take, the scalp massager and run it, go for about 5 minutes and actually massage my scalp. Yep, this is the little massager I got from, there's another line that I used to use years ago. When I tell you, I used a lot of different products until I found what works for me, and I recommend you do the same. There's this line called Plant Made, and I used their products for a short period of time, but I also got this little scalp massager as a free gift or something like that, or I bought it. So massaging the scalp is very, very important. For those people who are regrowing their hair, we don't really have that luxury of like just not doing anything to it. You have to, until your hair gets healthy, treat your hair, treat your scalp. And you hear me talk about my trichologist, and I'm getting ready to end on this. And if I forgot products, I'll let you know in another video. I'm gonna end on this. You hear me talk about my trichologist, again, Lottie Demang, because while she's a cosmetologist and knows how to do hair, she differs from the other people who have done my hair, in that she went to school to study the science of healthy hair and scalp, to study the scalp and hair and the health of it. And so I was saying something earlier about like, emotional trauma and all that stuff like that. Trichologists also speak to that. And so perhaps, and my hope is in my next video about Meet Georgia, or as you continue to get to know Georgia, Lottie will be present with me, whether I'm in the shop or whether we actually are sitting down for a pod or we do a pod online. But yeah, this has been my journey of with alopecia and my hair regrowth, and the journey continues. And so I encourage you all to, not give up on your hair. One of my friends, she wears her hair bald. Shout out Berg. She knows who I'm talking about. And she be like, Nay, you should just cut your hair. And she rocks that baldy like it's nobody's business. And I ain't there. And that's not for me. And I think we get to be able to say, okay, I don't want to do that, or this is for me, or whatever. Some people can just say, oh, it's just hair, I'm going to cut it all off. Everybody has their own journey. And so I encourage you to embrace where you are. And all of this and all this conversation you hear me talking about, it is not a sprint. It is a marathon. But if you're willing to take the time to figure out, number one, what's going on with your hair for real, by going to a dermatologist and getting a diagnosis. And then once you get the diagnosis, decide, if you get a diagnosis, decide what you're going to do from there, and then just follow the journey. It'll be well worth it. Nope, I can't promise you that your hair will come back. There's no guarantee that your hair will come back the way it was. No more than there's no guarantee that my hair will be full like it ever was. I don't know. This is a whole new part of the journey for me. But what I will say is I'm seeing hair in places that since 2017, actually 2013, it was not there. There's hair coming up in spaces where there was scarring alopecia. And so I just believe that the body's cells is supposed to regenerate. That's how God created us. I'm going to give myself a chance, my hair a chance, my scalp a chance to be healed. And Lottie always says, healthy hair grows. And so I believe it. And I'm grateful that I have people that work with me on this journey. I even ended up changing dermatologists because I was just like, listen, I don't really want to be coerced into doing certain treatment that I'm really not here for. I don't do, the clobetasol anymore. I don't do the Kenalog injections. And I told the new dermatologist, I was like, no, I'm going to just take a holistic approach and we're going to see. And so every now and again, they would check in when I go for my dermatologist appointments and be like, how's your hair doing? And I'd be like, it's doing well. And I would show them. And they got pictures when my hair was looking like, ooh, Lord Jesus, we thought I don't know, Georgia was going through it. And now, she's having an opportunity to breathe and grow. And we're going to see what happens. So again, the next time we come together talking about this, we'll be hopefully with Lottie Domain. And she has a testimony of her own that I'm sure would be a blessing to you. But in the meantime, take your time with your process. Go out there and find out what's really, really going on with your scalp. Don't diagnose yourself. Don't just, if you have itchy scalp or inflammation in the scalp or burning, don't just minimize it and just say, oh, something's going on with my hair. I wanted to say that there was this movie, I think I mentioned Napoli Ever After, when I cut my hair down, how I went and I actually watched that movie, and it encouraged me to really, really step out in boldness with my new haircut. That movie spoke to me, when Sanaa Lathan had to cut her hair in the movie. But there was another movie that I was watching recently called Freedom Hair, and I may just, do like a little side episode showing that, clips from that movie. That movie to me was a huge example, or some of the things in that movie were a huge example of like how, precious a woman's journey with her hair is to her. And it really brought tears to my eyes. It is based on a true story about a woman who was trying to just get a license to do African braiding, and how she was able to get some laws changed for her, people in her state. I think it was her state. So go check it out. Freedom Hair. I think it's on Hulu or Netflix. Really, really good movie. And somebody tell me where Good Hair went by Chris Rock, because I'm definitely, y'all know, I tend to do Art Imitates Life, my worlds collide. I definitely want to do a pod about that movie now that I'm in this hair journey. And, yeah, I think I want to do it. I might have to rent it or something like that. But, yeah, the conversation around hair is very interesting, and it causes or can cause or has caused a lot of us to bear shame about some of the things that we go through with our hair. And so I'm all about breaking stigmas and tearing down walls around stinking thinking. And so we'll see. Stay tuned. But in the meantime, be kind to yourself. Have grace with yourself. Love yourself. And remember, you're good enough just as you are. It has been my pleasure to be with you. And this is what I do. Helping people to transform their lives one whole soul at a time. And yes, that even means our hair. God bless you.